go ahead and record. The first one should have been fairly easy for you. You had a common denominator of 5x. And again, just going over this real quick to make sure you know exactly what you're doing. And then we just add the whole top. So 12 plus 7 plus 3, I'm sorry, 2 plus 7 plus 3 is 12. So you don't have anything else. There's nothing else that you can do with that one. So that's as good as it gets. Same thing on the next one. And one thing we haven't had was a minus, but it's exactly the same way as the other ones. This is right before our notes today. Yeah. 4 minus 5 is negative 1 plus 9 is 8. But then 8 divided by 2 will reduce to 4 over 1. So really simple and quick. When you get to the next one, they still have a common denominator, and all these had common denominators, so it made it kind of easy. 8x plus 3x is 11x. You can't split anything up. That's as good as it gets. So realize how quick this assignment should have been yesterday. Okay. If you have not done it, I am going over it now, and you should submit it after we finish. Got it? All right. X minus 7 is your common denominator. On the top, you're going to have x squared minus 49. If there's an x squared, you want to make sure that you try to factor it. These are perfect squares or pairs and share. So on the top, I would have one that's plus and one that's minus. And on the bottom, I have the minus. If it's the same on the top and the bottom, we mark it out, and that leaves us with just x plus 7. That's literally it. So don't make it harder than what it actually is. Same thing here on the bottom, 3x plus 15. On the top, squish it together, x squared minus 25. We're going to factor both. These are perfect squares because it's pairs and share. So on the top, x plus 5, x minus 5. Doesn't matter which order you put it in. On the bottom, we do have a GCF of 3, which leaves me with x plus 5. Mark out the same on the top and the bottom. And you're left with x minus 5 over 3. Okay, real quick. The next one is exactly the same. On the bottom, we have 5x plus 40. On the top, we squeeze together x squared plus 8x. On the top, these are not pairs and share. And again, if you break it down, you'll see that it is not pairs and shares. But what it does have is a GCF of x. So it leaves me with x plus 8. On the bottom, we have a GCF of 5. Leaves me with x plus 8. If it's the same on the top and the bottom, it marks out. And that leaves me with x over 5. Real quick and simple. Okay. We have a 9 on the top. Put them together. X plus 5x is 6x. 5 plus 7 is 12. You can take out a 6, leaves you with x plus 2 over 9. And then both of these will reduce by 3. So 2 times x plus 2 over 3. Any question on those? Okay. Your next one, you had a 4x on the bottom. On the top, 4x plus 6x is 10x. 1 minus 11 is negative 10. So we can see on the top that we have a factor of 10 that we can pull out, and it leaves us with x minus 1. On the bottom, 4x. 10 over 4 will reduce to 5 over 2, both divisible by 2. And that leaves us with a final of 5 times x minus 1 over 2x. If you want to go ahead and factor before you even put it underneath, you can do that. So factors of negative 21 that add to 4 are 7 and negative 3. And on the top, you're just squishing it together to be x plus 7. We mark it out. If we mark out everything on top and there's still something left on bottom, we need to make sure that we still have a numerator. So 1 is going to be up there, and x minus 3 is going to be on the bottom. Factors of 20 that add to -9 is -4 and -5. On the top, squish it together, 3x minus 12. You have a GCF of 3, so we get x minus 4, x minus 4 over x, x minus 4 times x minus 5. Mark out what you can on the top and the bottom, and your final is 3 over x minus 5. Give me 1 second. There she is. Where'd she go? All right. The next one, we have x squared minus 4. These are pairs and shares. Okay. So on the bottom, I'm going to have x plus 2 and x minus 2. On the top, squish it together, x squared plus 7x minus 18. I can have factors of -18 that add to 7. So 9 and -2. X plus 2, x minus 2. Mark out what you can, and you're left with x plus 9 over x plus 2. And then the last one, remember this just means write it twice. This is the only one that probably would have taken you forever because it's a slide and divide. And then we have 2x minus 3's on the bottom, so I just want to write it like this. When we do our slide and divide, I'm going to come over here and do that to show you. We get x squared minus x minus 30. Factors of -30 that add to -1 are -6 and +5. Don't forget to divide. So that leaves me with x minus 3. The 2 goes to the front, and 2x plus 5. So on the top, x minus 3, 2x plus 5. On the bottom, x minus 3 2 times. Mark out what you can, and your final answer on this should be 2x plus 5 over x minus 3. So realize this paper should not have taken you very long. Okay. Even with interruptions, I got it done in 11 minutes, so yours probably takes a little longer than that, clearly, because you're going to have to think about your factoring. Got it? Make sure that you turn that assignment in. All right, so for today, we have complex fractions. And for complex fractions, it's just fractions within a fraction. So I'm going to write it a little different. Like the first 3 are just numbers, so you can kind of get the idea of it. And then the rest has variables. So we're not going to do these in our calculator. We're going to do them by hand, just so you can get the idea. So what you actually have here is the same thing that we did a couple days ago. We're going to have the top divided by the bottom. Okay. The top divided by the bottom. We want to simplify what we can. And I am going to go ahead and simplify this in the calculator. Remember, if we're doing it by hand with variables, we cross multiply. So here's what I'm telling you. I'm going to go ahead and simplify this part. 25 over 4 minus, that's not what I wanted to do. 4 over 5 gives me 109 over 20. And then remember that we don't divide fractions. What do we do to them? Flip and multiply. Yep. Keep the first one. Change it to multiply. flip the second one. And now I know we can do this on our calculator, and that's fine, but I just want to show you by hand. When you get to this part, you want to simplify. 20 and 25 can be reduced by 5. 109, I don't know if it's reducible by 4. It's not, so that's as good as it's going to get. So then we multiply straight across. 4 times 4 is 16. And 5 times 109 is 545. So on the next one, we're going to add these together. Remember what I told you? You cross multiply them. So we would have a 12 on the bottom. 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 4 times 4 is 16. Nine plus 16 is 25 over 12, divided by 3 over 2. So again, if I rewrite this, we have divided by 3 over 2. We keep the first one, change it to a multiply, flip the second one. Reduce what you can. 2 and 12 will reduce. 25 and 6 and 25 and 3 won't reduce, so this is as good as it gets. We have a 25 on the top. 25 times 1 is 25. 6 times 3 is 18. And again, if you get any of these on your test without variables, please just put it in your calculator. That's perfectly fine. All right, your next one. We're going to change this to 16 over 1, so we actually have a fraction. We're going to cross multiply this. On the bottom, 25 times 4 is 100. 16 times 4, 64. 25 times 1 is 25 over 16 over 1. 64 plus 25 is 89 over 100 over 16 over 1. We keep the first fraction. We change it to a multiply. We flip the second one. Nothing on this reduces, so multiply across. 89 times 1 is 89. 100 times 16 is 1600. All right, so when we get variables, we're going to cross multiply just like we did. We get 5 times u plus 4 on the bottom. On the top, we get u squared plus 5. I'm sorry, times 5. U squared times 5. Here's the big thing when you have a minus. So we haven't done any of these, and I knew the ones that on the paper were not going to bother you, so I left it that way. When we do this minus, make sure you put everything behind it in parentheses. So I'm cross multiplying these two. And on the bottom, I just have u, but remember I'm going to do u over 1. And if you have to, make this one a little bit darker to kind of separate them. All right, I'm going to still work on the top. I'm going to distribute these. So I get 5u squared. I'm going to just hold off on that minus for a minute. U times u is u squared. U times 4 is 4u. 4 times u is 4u. 4 times 4 is 16. All over 5 times u plus 4. All over u over 1. here's where you have to be careful. This is where everybody messes up. The reason I put this in parentheses is because this negative has to go with everything. Okay, the negative has to go with everything. So on the top, I'm going to have 5u squared minus u squared. So negative times u squared. I'm going to have a -4 and a -4, which makes a -8u. And then I'm going to have a -16. We're going to clean this up. 5u squared minus 1u squared is 4u squared minus 8u.
Please pardon this interruption. I just received an email that says for me to inform everyone that Canvas is not working statewide. So I know that y'all know it's not working, but apparently it's not working statewide. So Keith Coons and them are trying to do their best. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you.
It's fine. We're good. All right. So then once you get it put together, what do you notice about 4, 8, and 16? Yeah, so I'm going to redo it down here. U squared minus 2u minus 4 over 5u plus 4. Give me a second. Sorry, y'all. I'm just going to get anybody in that can. We're going to flip it and change it to multiply. Now it looks just like the other day. So I know it's a lot of complicated stuff up here. It looks like a bunch of steps, but it's stuff that you already know how to do. So don't stress out too much. Do I have any factors of -4 that will add to -2? And remember, if you get a little lazy, that's okay. And I don't mean that in a bad way. If we can't remember, we can always put it in our calculator. And I'm just showing you just in case you do. And I'm not upset if you use your calculator. Remember, you get it all the time. So we're looking for -2. And if you guys look, there's no -2. You got it? So we know that there's not any factors. This is as good as this gets. This is as good as it gets. So if we see anything on the top, the bottom, left, right that we can pull out, we're going to pull it out. There's nothing that I can reduce 4 by or 5. I can't take a u out. There's absolutely nothing I can do. So now I just multiply straight across. All of this times 1 is the same thing. And then on the bottom, I have a 5, a u, and a u plus 4. I don't care what order the bottom goes in. We're going to do a couple more. Remember, that's the first one. I don't expect you to get it after the first one. Okay. If you do, that's a positive. All right. Flip your paper. This one's going to be a little bit easier because it's not like pluses and minuses underneath. So it's just x squared over 4. We're going to put this one together. So there's nothing I can do to the x squared over 4. But on the bottom, I can cross multiply. 4x times 5 is 20x plus 25 times 4 is 100. And then multiply the bottom. 25 times 5 is 125. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it because there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can put together. I can factor this, but I'll factor it in a minute. Okay, so when it looks a little bit easier. So I'm going to keep the first one, change it to multiply, flip the bottom one. Is everybody okay with that step? Okay, put them together, then flip and change. We have x squared over 4. The 125 won't do anything. But out of this one, we can take a 20. If you see anything else that will reduce, please reduce it, such as the 125 and 20. They'll reduce by 5. So 125 divided by 5. Sorry, 25. I was doing it by 20. And then your 20 divided by 5 is 4. And there's nothing else that will reduce. So we just squish it together. 25 times x squared is 25x squared. On the bottom, we have 4 times 4, which is 16. And then x plus 5. Any questions? Everybody good? All right. Seriously, if you have any questions, because sometimes it gets confusing because it's fractions within fractions within fractions, y'all please ask, okay? I know that this can be a little bit of a complicated section. It's the same thing once you get to this point, but sometimes it's hard to even get to that point. So on the next one, we're going to make it a fraction over a fraction. We need one fraction on top and one on the bottom. So we got to put the top together. Okay, so we do that by cross multiplying. So we do 6 times 2m is 12m. M squared times 3, it's a plus between, so 3m squared. On the bottom, we squish them together. M squared times 2m is 2m cubed. And then we have that 6 over 1. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and change it to where it looks like this. So the top is 12m plus 3m squared over 2m cubed. We're going to change it to times, and it's going to become 1 over 6. Once you get it to this point, it's just like we have been doing for the week. So make sure that you factor anything you can. So on the top, what can I factor out? Not 6, but I have a 12 and a 3. What can we factor out? A 3 and an m. Very good. So 12 divided by 3 is 4, and I took that 1m out. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and I took one of the m's away. On the bottom, I have 2m cubed. It will not factor, and then I have times 1 over 6. We're going to reduce what we can. 3 and 6 will reduce to a 2 on the bottom. We have 1m on the top and 3 on the bottom, so we'll take one of those away to make it 2 m's on the bottom. I don't have another 4 plus m, and then that 1 does nothing. So we are done at this point. So on the top, the only thing I have is 4 plus m. Now they may write it the other way around, m plus 4. It doesn't matter to me which way you put it. On the bottom, we have 2 times 2, which is 4. And then we have m squared. And that's it. All right, on the next one, the top one is good because it's a singular fraction. There's only 1 in the top. On the bottom, I need to get one fraction. So I'm going to put them together by cross multiplying. 1 times x plus 6 is x plus 6. We have a plus. 12 times 4 is 48. Over, multiply it together, 4 times x plus 6. We're going to make it a little less complicated. X plus 6 over 4. We're going to change it to times. We have 4 and x plus 6 because we're going to flip the bottom. And then these can just be written out. What is 6 plus 48? 54. Anything that you see on the top and the bottom that are the same, we can cancel out. I don't see anything else the same, and I can't break up any of my other x's. So on top, you have x plus 6 and x plus 6. You have two of them. So they may write it like this, or they may factor it out. Okay, so I'll show you both answers. Just depends on the answer key. And on the bottom, you have x plus 54. If they write this out, it'll be x times x is x squared. X times 6 is 6x. 6 times x is 6x. And 6 times 6 is 36, which simplifies to x squared plus 12x over 36. And then you would just put the x plus 54 on the bottom. This is going to be more likely with the square than this one. Got it? I just want you to know if you do this, you're not wrong. I don't care which one you give me. All right, so now they make you do two, one in the top, one in the bottom, instead of just doing one singular fraction and one double fraction. So now we got to do it on both. So these just take longer. Got it? All right, so on the top, we're going to do that cross multiply. We're going to have 25 times x minus 3. We have a minus 5 times x minus 3. And on the bottom, we're going to multiply 5 times 25, which gives you 125. So that makes one big fraction. Same thing on the bottom here. We're going to cross multiply. On the top, we're doing x minus 1 and x minus 3 plus x minus 1 and x minus 3. On the bottom, 2x minus 3. Now, realize this had the same denominator, so I did worst case scenario, you could have just squished them together. Okay, so if they had the same denominator, just squish them together. So I did more work on this problem than I needed to, but I want to work out the problem so you can see it that way. All right, we're going to flip it around. I'm going to leave it as is for right now without simplifying it at all. Change it to multiply x minus 3 over x minus 1 x minus 3 plus x minus 1 x minus 3. Sorry, I didn't have enough room. Look at this carefully. What do these both have? Okay, so I can take that out. That's like a GCF. So we can mark one of those out. All right. What do these both have? So we could have taken that out as well. I'm going to go ahead and multiply it out just so you guys can see it, and then we'll clean it up. We have 25x minus 75. Distribute a negative 5 times x is negative 5x. Negative 5 times 3 is a positive 15 over 125. Times we have an x minus 3 over x minus 1 plus x minus 1. Clean it up again. 25 minus 5 is 20x. Negative 75 plus 15 is negative 60 over 125. We have x minus 3 on the top. X plus x is 2x minus 2. Factor out anything you can. What's in common between 20 and 60? So we're left with x minus 3 over 125. X minus 3 won't do anything, but this has a common 2. We want to mark out anything we can. When I get to number 10, I'll do it like on the back side or something. Don't worry about going into that. And I don't know if you have a back side or not. All right. 20 and 125 are divisible by 5. So this would be 4. And then 125 divided by 5 is 25. And then you also have 4 divided by 2, which just give you 2. Okay. So on the top, I have a 2, x minus 3, x minus 3. On the bottom, I have 25 and x minus 1. They may write it as x minus 3 squared. Okay, that would be the only difference in that. The next one is not going to be as bad because it doesn't have like the x minus 3 in the bottom. Anytime the denominator has an add or subtract, that's when your problem is going to be the longest, okay? But on these, this one should be a little bit shorter. Same thing, we're going to cross multiply. We have 3 times 4 is 12. 16 times u squared, there's a minus between, is minus 16u squared. On the bottom, 16 times 4 is 64. Across, we're going to have u times u squared, which is u cubed, minus 3 times 9 is 27. Oh, it's been a while since we've seen one of those, so be ready for that. And then 9 times u squared is 9u squared. All right. We're going to fix it. 12 minus 16u squared over 64 times, flip your fraction, 9u squared over u cubed minus 27. On the top, 16 and 12 are both divisible by 4. Leaves me with 3 minus 4u squared. That will not factor. You can flip it around. You can do whatever. On the bottom, 64. We have 9u squared. And then this one is a perfect cube. So remember, we take the cube root, the same sign, and the cube root. Square the first, change the sign, multiply them together, square the last. If you look, there's not a lot we can do. Only 4 and 64. So it reduces to 16, 1 over 16. So your final answer for this one, we have 9u squared times 3 minus u 4u squared over 16 u minus 3 u squared plus 3u plus 9. Don't feel bad if it's a big fraction. It's not going to hurt anything. All right. I'm going to take a minute to copy this to the back of my page so I can see it. So just give me a minute. X minus 3 over x minus 1/2. 2 over 25. Minus 5 over x minus 3. I got perfect. So here's what we have for number 10. This is the last one we're going to do. Right, we got to clean this up, so we're going to cross multiply. 2 times x minus 3. We have a minus between. 1 times x is 1x. On the bottom, multiply them together. 2 times x is 2x. On the bottom, cross multiply. 2 times x minus 3 minus 5 times 25. So we had a minus between. 5 times 25. On the bottom, multiply them together. 25 x minus 3. We're going to distribute right here. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6 minus x over 2x. We're going to change it to multiply and flip it over. 25 times x minus 3. Distribute 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. And minus 5 times 25 is 125. Keep cleaning it up and then reduce. 2x minus x is just x minus 6 over 2x. I would leave this as 25x minus 3. I would not put it together. And then on the bottom, 2x minus 131. If there's anything that we can reduce, you want to reduce it. There is not anything on this one, so we're just squishing it together. On the top, the only number you have is 25. We have an x minus 6 and an x minus 3. Does not matter what order you put it in. On the bottom, we have a 2x and a 2x minus 131. Okay, they seem really complicated, but they're not that bad. Those of you that are on here, what I'm going to do is share my screen so that you can see your problems. And if you want to write them down, you can do that. So because you can't access Canvas. Well, maybe you can't. I did. I don't know if it's going to be out. Let me see if it's on there. It may cut out. Just give me a second. I don't know why mine's working and y'all's not. It doesn't make any sense. We're going to check it out. Here is your all right. I'm going to leave this up. I'm going to stop recording